I'm gonna keep running with this. So I've said in another video that there's nothing insignificant about our feet, but especially if you appreciate anyone at any given moment, whether in proximity in relationship to other people or not, which we're always in proximity in relationship to other people on some level. The position of a person's feet foot at any time, also with respect in relative to other people in their vicinity, but at any given time, the position of someone's feet says so much about them, because where a person stands or sits or lies, where the feet have led them to either sit or lie, or where they are standing upon their feet, would have to represent all of what a person is, all the motions and migrations of their ancestors across their existence would amount to the a footing of where they are currently located upon the earth at any point. Your coordinates on the earth, as your feet go, represent all that you have thought, did, or said, and all that has been thought, did, or said about you on some level would represent, and your choice within that, the choice of other actors, good actors, bad actors, indifferent actors, and your own good acting, bad acting, and indifferent acting, the choice of all that, the influence of all that, the cause and the I don't know the cause, but the effect of all that is yet maybe those causes are still with you in your ability to further employ footwork, but the effect of all that would have to be a function of where your feet are located at any time, how interested you are in things, how inspired you are, how bound by duty you are, how free of duty you are, how interested you are, how passionate you are, what you may do, what you may not do, what you feel like doing, what you fear doing, what you have the courage to do despite fearing, what you have no fear about, would amount to where your feet are at a given point in time. And also, I think I've extrapolated that our feet have a connection to the earth. If you were to wear sandals for like a week or so, you may experience your feet differently than you would being accustomed to shoes your whole life, because we've largely become numb and dull to a lot of things and sensations with us, not the least of which wearing shoes a lot. But I think that a lot of times, and I've made other videos saying that I think that the earth is charged. There's something within city planning, like municipal city planning and the engineering of cities. Also, the location of significant buildings, no less than like sometimes religious structures or government structures, have been located upon something called ley lines. I'm not an engineer, and I think that some of the knowledge that stems from is not entirely entered into the popular lexicon of mainstream understanding and sources that are available in mainstream um, uh, uh, um, compendiums of learning. But I picked up that word with some of the content of Taj Tariq Bey on YouTube, that's available on YouTube, and he speaks intelligently to that on some of his channels. But he says that it's appreciated that there's something called ley lines that may correspond with some of the electromagnetism of the Earth, and then also its relationship to at least the local planetary bodies, and that's part of planning, and like when it's related to like when they find like a plumb line, like for there's different sophisticated things that are done in engineering, whether civil engineering or like maybe architecture, that have to do it has implications of geography and geoscience, like the science of the earth itself, but then also some of the local planetary bodies, and then there might be different ranges of that, but it has some of that understanding actually goes back at least several hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, to some of your ancients, that they actually understood more of mathematics and geography and planetary science than it would be appreciated generally. And some of that is a little bit arcane, or maybe even not divulged to the public for different reasons. And that's not the line. I'm not looking to emphasize that in itself, but just to say that it can be appreciated that there is at least electromagnetism of within the earth, and it would vary from a location to a location significantly, and it can play out and have a very subtle yet profound influence. And I think that some of our actually goings on as human beings are a function of that, both the magnetism of the earth affecting our subconscious experience of ourselves, no less than our feet, and where we choose to stand and go, where it feels comfortable. Sometimes when I was talking to someone recently that's from, I live in a broad, a very spread out and populated metropolitan area that has different regions with different reputations and different histories within even a small or within a city area, spanning about maybe 30 to 60 miles, and then if not more of a square mile urban. And I was speaking to someone in a region that I've lived a long time, but from a different region where I've actually worked in that other region. And he was saying he's from this and that region, and I was because first of all, the way he was holding his hand at a register, he was doing stuff like this, and I said, you can't be from around here holding your hand that cool at a register. Are you from the South? He's like, no, I'm from such and such. But I was like, dang, you said that without batting an eye. You must be from there. He's like, people always say this and that, but I grew up around there and I never had a problem there. It's a nice place to grow up. It's a decent place. There's a lot of nice people from there. And he's dead on about that. That was actually my experience working there too, and I had thought the same thing. However, it does have a reputation, and things have occurred there that would lend itself to that reputation. And sometimes an environment can be completely different to two different people. One, because you approach an environment differently, you pick up different cues in an environment differently based on your experience, but also your appearance, and that environment also engages you based on your perception of it, and its perception of you would be a different experience to two different people. But to his point though, anything doesn't have to be anything that it's not according to how you are approaching a place. But some places do have a reputation as being a certain type of area, and that might have to do with actually some of the charge of the land and what has occurred on that land, what has not occurred on that land, what people have said and did and walked and ran on that land might affect the actual magnetism of the land, and also affect outcomes currently. Maybe some of the magnetism and the goings on and the marauding and traversing of that area could affect the charge and the outcomes. So sometimes you go to a place that you're, say, like during or even before the pandemic, and it's 6 feet apart. You know where it feels appropriate to stand too close or too far from someone. And also, if there's no one in a vicinity, there's a certain place that feels like the exact place for you to stand and be at any given point would just be natural, unless you're employing footwork consciously. So they say like the footsteps of the righteous are ordered, but I don't know that if footsteps are ordered, that even there wouldn't be some ordering even to unrighteous footsteps, whether you were contending with the natural ordering or employing your own ordering. There would have to be still some form of ordering. And somehow in this universe, you can't really get outside of order. Even try as you may, there'd be some form of order to your improvising or affronting or casting off of order as you understand it. So it'd be really, that might be an intellectual discussion. Is there such a thing of random probability? Is it possible to have random probability? That I don't know the answer, but I do know that even so if you have a room, like say you have like a room that's a complete mess, the actual objects in that room that are a mess, that are awry, even so I've had to pick up after children before when I was caring as a PCA and attend home health aide to someone who had grandchildren. Both sometimes they'd be there with him, or they'd be there when they would not be there when I was there with him. But the room would be all of what you can imagine, picking up after young people without oversight daily. So you near about break your back to pick up that much stuff, and then it's reset for you the next day to pick up. But even within a mess like that, there's actually a deep reasoning to how and where anything is located, even within a mess, or even how it would have been brought to have been procured, brought there, engaged, and then forgot or cast off, would still be a function of some kind of reasoning and purpose, or there'd still be some rationale to that, even with the greatest mess you can imagine. So even our footsteps, there'd be some kind of reasoning to it. But generally speaking, sometimes every once in a while, like you'll go down the road and you'll see somebody dancing in the street, doing something where they're actually attempting to protest the reasoning for what is proper, where they should be standing, where they should be walking, what would ordinarily be done. Sometimes you can see people trying to break their own programming, get outside the box that is them, and they'll do that dancing. The first time I heard Daft Punk, I actually did that because I went to a downtown region and I danced to that song, and I danced all the way home to that song. But anytime you experience footwork, consciously employed footwork, it would be significant because it's somehow deviating from the natural course of where a person's feet are located at any point in time, and therefore has serious implications when you see conscious employment of footwork.